up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 13.11, Unquenched, where we are covering the novel Deadbeat. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
I believe the Jabberwockies are Bullocky.
You can do better than that.
I can't.
Sad.
The Jabberwocky doesn't deserve better than that.
Bite your tongue.
I feel like a gauntlet was just thrown.
Right?
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at patreon.com/freeflowrambling. Chapter 12. Harry and Thomas go for a run at North Avenue Beach. The two have a heart-to-heart about Harry's current situation and Thomas's hunger.
I'd like to read to you the first paragraph of chapter 12. The next morning, my brain was throbbing with far too many thoughts and worries to allow for any productive thinking. Sound like anybody you know?
Nope.
What are you trying to say?
No productive thinking in this room.
Wow.
You say that like it's not a regular thing.
Someone's in a mood today.
Trying. You need to go for a run. You both need to go to the beach and go for a run.
Somebody's just mad their bed drowned. Me and Tanzan both have beds to go home to after this.
I've been sleeping on the floor for a month, and I'm going to keep sleeping on the floor for a lot longer than I thought.
If I'd known this, I could have brought you my camp cot.
Thanks.
But you can't have it now because I need it this weekend.
Right.
But you can have it after that.
I might have one of those electric air mattresses somewhere.
Oh. Yeah, I have one of those. Okay, you can have the camp cot. I'll take my mattress. Actually, I don't know if there's power at this one. I guess maybe I could give you the mattress. You always let me sleep on yours before the cat killed it.
Yes, the cat killed my air mattress, so I can't use it.
But I have, like, the same one now.
Harry decides that he's going to go for a run because that's been helping him clear his mind. The last couple of books, he's decided that running is probably something he should get good at. Weirdly enough, you only have to run from a couple of bare fallen angels to think that maybe cardio should become a part of your life.
Not even. Apparently only one. You only need one bare fallen angel. That was enough for Harry.
If only I could find such motivation.
I'm going to show up to your house with a knife.
I was going to say, you can come camping with us this weekend, Tanzan. We're going to get chased by a bear.
There's several right over there. One's really long. It was used as a horror prop, so it's rusty and jagged, too.
Oh, nice.
Oh, brilliant.
I just cleaned out my car fully, legitimately, every nook and cranny, and came across a prop knife that I had stashed in there a long time ago.
Like high school a long time ago?
I didn't have a car back then, did I?
True enough, but doesn't mean that's not where the prop was from.
When I was still driving the Saturn, I used to hide like a camping hunting knife inside the console part because you could take it off for the emergency brake. Mm-hmm. Just in case something happened on a road trip, I'd just be like, hunk, hunk.
Just Jesus.
I used to go by myself all the place and all over North America, so it's like, yeah, it can't hurt.
Yeah. See, I work in kitchens, so I just bought a knife that was seemingly covered in blood, and then during Halloween week, I would bring it to work, pretend to stab people.
Yeah, you should check out that one over there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'll chase you with it, and you can start running.
I will die either way.
But at least one, I don't have to run.
Exactly.
Oh, shit.
Just be faster. So Harry thinks he had a rough night. Butters is still passed out. I mean, I don't know exactly what time they got. I mean, we know Butters worked the night shift, so I guess it was already wee hours maybe, and then Harry went out for a couple more. But yeah, I like this is funny that he's like, I tried to be really quiet, and he's like, Butters was still just completely zonked though.
Give Butters some props, okay? That's kind of the day that I would wake up and go back to bed and be like, you know what? No.
Actually, you know what? That's really dumb. So wait, weren't you just chastising them, giving a time? Not
Yeah, we had 3 a.m.
Okay.
right before Harry went home and went to bed. So maybe it's 5 a.m. when he gets to bed.
So apparently Harry doesn't fucking sleep because he's busy having his lucid dream visit with Dad.
Which could have happened in 10 seconds.
Dad gives him peaceful, dreamless sleep for the rest. They're still up at like dawn going to the beach though, so I get it's October. But it still cannot be
it's
very
probably
late in the
8
day.
a.m. max.
Max, right? Like, yeah. So he maybe got, so yeah, he's had what, 3 to 5 if we're being really generous, right? Because I don't remember exactly where he was at 3 a.m. now. So I don't know how, right? So whether he got home very shortly after that, was that at Billy and George's? Was that 3 a.m. or when they got back to his car or something?
When he shows up to Mortimer's house, Mort complains it's 3 a.m. What the fuck are you doing here? So he has to go through the whole seance with Mort, and then he goes home.
So that was after Billy and Georgia dropped him
6
off
little
as he
necromancers
went to-
was
Yeah.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
After Billy and Georgia.
Okay, so that's the stop before. So you're right. So yeah, probably as you say, maybe 4 or 5-ish when he gets home, depending how long all that took and how far.
He didn't sleep. He just had a very brief power nap.
Yeah.
Maybe his dad gave him like an energy boost.
Right. Reminds me of when we used to go see that.
Here's your spiritual coffee, son. You'll need it.
The hypnotist. The guy we used to regularly for a while there.
Terry Stokes.
No, not him. That was the Stampede guy. This was
That's the only hypnotist I know.
Mark Savard. Don't know if you're still doing shit out there. Shout out to Mark Savard. Hope your career's going well. But anyways, at the end of all his show, whatever volunteers he'd always send them off. He's like, tonight you're going to go home and have like the best sleep of your life, and you're going to wake up like refreshed and re-energized. And that was the only thing that occasionally ever made me the least bit remotely want to volunteer to go up there. Was I was like, maybe I'll actually have like a good sleep and just like wake up refreshed and energized. But I don't know if that would have worked. But that was just his always little like goodbye present to everybody. Was like, you're just going to feel like so awesome in the morning. So yeah, hopefully his dad did one of those, because yeah, apparently it wasn't like a full 8 hours he then got in. It was, so for the next hour and a half that I slept, it was really peaceful.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then I woke up.
Ooh.
No kidding. Oh yeah, right?
You can see Mark Savard currently in Las Vegas.
Wow, good for you. You've come a long way since Edmonton. Mm-hmm. It was a good show. I liked him. But
Edmontonians, man.
damn Edmontonians. Never did.
So he's responsible. He feeds the animals and he takes Mouse for a walk, and then he's like, I'm gonna go for a run now. And Thomas is there waiting for him.
Right. So like, when exactly did Thomas slip out? Because Harry's only got the one entrance in and out. And
He went to go take Mouse for a walk.
I get that. But see, he doesn't mention if Thomas is still there, right? So he's not like, oh, Thomas was in the chair, and then I took Mouse out, and then I came back and Thomas, right? So you're like...
So Thomas left before he woke up and went to get dressed in Butter's room.
But Harry had to go into his own room to get dressed. That's why he was being quiet, not to wake Butters up.
Why are you confused?
I'm not confused. I'm just saying.
That's when Thomas left, before Harry even woke up. Or while he's changing. Who cares?
So he just went and stood down the block, and then he just came back
Thomas is just out doing shit.
leaning against the truck
The
when Harry
vampire
comes
of the
out to
night.
leave. But it's morning.
Living his life.
He doesn't have a life. That's the whole problem, is he can't live his life. That's why he's depressed and sad.
He wants to know where the beetle is.
So we had to hide while Harry took the dog for a walk, just so he could then spring up all mysterious and vampiric-like.
Maybe
and be
he
like,
was showering.
Where's the beetle? I didn't say anything about that.
It'd be really funny if he was showering, though, because, like, all three of them shoved into a tiny little room sharing.
Like, Butters has the bed.
Butters gets the bed, Harry gets the
wee
dresser.
standing room. Thomas is in the shower. Anyways, yes, all of that is completely irrelevant. Yes, he looks after the animals, goes out, and yeah.
They hit the beach to go for a run.
Yes.
I do like that it's, despite the fact that Thomas is supernatural and vampire, that apparently Harry's actually got the edge on him, because Harry's the only one that actually does any regular working out these days. And that while Thomas can pull on the hunger, just as he himself, Harry's actually got him beat.
Right?
Yeah,
Long
well-
legs, and Thomas doesn't really have regular feeding schedules as much, I don't think. So he,
Well, yeah, I
he
mean-
probably can't pull on the hunger as much as he would like to.
Exactly. Normally, Thomas could just pull on the hunger for this and be fine, but since he's not going to do that, this is just a regular dude.
Yeah,
he can't keep up.
Won't. Then yeah, his long legs are not. I mean, he does say that like, oh yeah, Thomas isn't even breathing hard yet or anything like that. So Thomas is definitely still not having to put the same level of exertion. But yeah, based on literally just the fact that he's got 8 inches on him and whatever as he starts. Although I find this kind of dumb. Their first bit, he's like. So yeah, he's like, Thomas is like, where's the beetle? He's like, shop, someone beat it up. He's like, why? It's like, no idea. Feel like a run? Why? Why do you, again, it just seemed like to me.
He's moody, that's all.
I guess. I'm
And grumpy, why?
I understand the first, why'd they beat it up? Okay, I don't know, but it's feel like a run? What? I don't know. Why does anybody feel like a run? That's.
He's pouting.
I know. It's just so almost But yeah, because then he's like, my head's full. And then he's like, all in, oh, I know. Oh, I get that. Where he was like, okay, Thomas. But yeah.
Is this the same beach that he had to go say goodbye to Susan at?
I don't think they specify, but I can't imagine there's too many beaches in Chicago. Half of them are probably on the Gold Coast with all the rich people, and he's not allowed on there. So this is probably the only public beach. So yeah, I'm going to say it's the same one.
Nice.
There's 2 public beaches, and this is the nicer of them. This is the only one that Harry goes to.
For the longest time was going for runs and just crying.
That's why. That's why I feel like it's the same beach. It's he's like, well, at least we have this.
Maybe, but that's not, he doesn't even know where he's going yet when he's like, that would even make more sense if he already told him he was going to the beach, and he was like, why? He's like, just feel like a run? He's like, why? It's like, my head's full.
I
It's
used some
okay,
hairs of hers left on the brush at my apartment and tracked her down to the beach along Lake Michigan. So it could be, but it's very unspecific.
Well, yeah, like I say, right?
Yeah.
There's...
So after running a while, Harry opens up to Thomas about recent events, and Thomas offers that they should just kill Mavra.
Yeah, right? Make it a family project. I like that.
His whole thing, though, is Mavra couldn't have been listening. I don't know, there's... Can you outrun magic? You know that she's A, a vampire, and B, a wizard.
I was going to say, it is a little bit iffy, he doesn't go through the hole, but I will give him the, again, well, I don't know, because that's what he kind of did last time. He assumed she would have to be all, asleep in her coffin, and Kincaid, literally in just the last book, was like, some of these old ones don't have to. They can stay up and party all night. Or all day.
Maybe he's banking on that the sunlight is going to weaken anything.
So this is what I assumed, right? But again, I don't know for sure how that would work. If she can be...
If she can scry, or...
Yeah, right? If she doesn't have to be, unconscious in her coffin. If she can stay... Right, she can't be out anywhere. But if she can be up, then yes, what's to say she can't necessarily be working us. But again...
Or she was just totally bluffing him, and he just...
Yeah, she's like, tell whoever you want, who gives a fuck? Just trying to scare you, just trying to rattle you.
Just trying to fuck with you.
Oh, you
Just
believe that?
Just make it harder.
Dumbass.
Right?
How would that have worked? You wouldn't have been able to investigate.
I know, be like, how the hell would I know? I can't, yeah. So...
Mavra's just a funny bitch.
Right? But yeah, I was like, obviously you can't for, any technical, again, with the, he can see there's no people around. They can't be using, any, telescoping radio things. I don't know what you call those.
I just feel like
parabolic.
In my home, surrounded by wards, is not as safe as some random public beach at 8 a.m. Okay, Harry, whatever the fuck you say, you're the wizard.
True, but he didn't deny to talk to anybody in his apartment. He just hasn't gotten around to it yet, and he may not just want to.
Maybe so. Okay, sure.
Maybe he doesn't want to talk more about it in front of Butters more than he has to. But yeah, I mean, again, if Harry hadn't needed to go for a run, maybe they would be sitting here over bacon and eggs at home
fair
trying
enough.
to...
Sure.
But yes. But yeah, he's away from Butters and everybody here at this point, and yeah, he can... I mean, again, even that magical words aside, who's to say that, somebody could, have a tin can up against his window?
Right. And as we know already, Harry already says, and anyways, Mavra sucks, but I still have to stop these guys, because they also suck, right? You get a little bit more of the cementation that Harry's obviously in this now, regardless of Mavra's bidding. He wants to be involved, because these people are clearly doing the wrong thing.
Now there's all kinds of, it's not just one crazy loony here. Now there's, all kinds of crazy loonies trying to...
Apparently 6.
run around doing bad shit, so... I just don't like it.
Right. So, then we get on to Murphy. It was, the whole, shindig with her. They're off in Hawaii, in Cade. And I love Thomas for just being you're the dumbest idiot on the planet.
Well, I know, right? Like,
well, that's a bitch. It's circumstances, not Murphy. Well, maybe Kincaid. I don't know.
Man, that too.
but I like how it goes down, right? Because they're just like figuring out bit by bit by bit, and he's like, okay, so it sounds like you need like cop resources to look into stuff, right? And he's like, like I can't. And he's like, oh. She's like, he's on vacation. Oh, wiring her plants. Right. Well, she's in Hawaii. With Kincaid. Thomas stopped running. So I was like, wait, what? I was like, okay. What?
But this moment when Thomas is all like, little brother.
I know.
You're
it's
the
like
little
so
brother in
weird.
your whole life, Thomas. You've been the little
I
brother
know.
with this multitude of older sisters, the main one being Laura, and then you turn to her and you're like, little brother. Like,
He's finally.
you've been waiting for this moment forever.
Right.
And even I forget, because in my mind, when you put descriptive words to everyone, for me, Thomas is total little brother to everyone. I forget sometimes that he's actually older than Harry.
Right. Well, and especially as you say, right about now is when Harry's about to be 30. So yeah, Thomas is 35, 36, whatever, right? But it's that gap is closing because Thomas will never not be 35. Right? Like that's the thing. Or if even, I mean, he probably
Thomas is probably like 25. Yeah.
Which means that like, yeah, Harry is probably already surpassed, you know what I mean? And that's
It's going to be the in joke.
That's the thing with these, yeah.
But also part of the thing is that right now Harry's the one who's bringing home the rent and the food and all the responsibility, and Thomas is the, in my experience, the bullshit little sibling who can't do anything for themselves.
It's only half. One of them has a job. But yeah, no, exactly. He's like the literal epitome of like a fuckboy. He does nothing. It's like can't hold a job, doesn't do anything but party and drugs and sex. And
I really do like that Thomas is trying to lecture on love, and you're never gonna be in love if you don't try and you stay logical and all this shit. It's like, Thomas, you are straight up like, you fucked up by falling in love. Your whole life is fucked up because you decided to go be in love with.
But that's because he's a vampire.
Sure, but it's just like, you've got room to talk, Thomas.
Well, and he says as much, and Thomas gets a little huffy and stomps a little louder as he jogs. But, I mean, yeah, it is an interest, right? You can so easily take it from both sides, right? Because, yeah, Harry is all like, oh, we work together, and I don't have... But, yeah, once he realizes, like, oh, I don't know, it could be weird, like, I don't feel that way, and it'll mess things up, and, yeah, Thomas is all, that's very reasonable and logical and mature of you, and Harry's like, thank you very much, and he's like, you fucking idiot, and he's like, wait, what? And, I mean, you're right. On the one hand, it does make, right? Like, of course, 'tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all, or whatever, right? Like, you gotta put yourself back out there again, Harry. Who knows? Obviously, Thomas has picked up that, there's a thing or there could be a thing, right? So
Thomas is such a romantic.
He is. But at the same time, you're right. That he is, I mean, this is what he does.
Two brothers, both alike in dignity, one born on Valentine's, the other Halloween.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, one's all spooky supernatural and one is just a born romantic. But it is funny because you're right. It goes against all his, like, vampire-y... I don't mean it's A, this is why he doesn't make a very good vampire, or B, he's partially by choice because this rubs Daddy the wrong way, like we're supposed to be all, blah, 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 right? Have to memorize that passage in the Bible, the greatest of these is love. Well, I'm going to go out there and love the fuck out of everything, because that also did make you lose, it wasn't just loved and lost. It was like, because you loved, you lost.
And obviously something to be said for the pragmaticism of it's the majority of my paychecks comes from not fucking things up with Murphy.
And right, which is actually funny. I think I was going to mention that in the last one too, when you were talking again about him not being able to afford to save the world and this and that. And you're like, he's still in the exact same place. And I was like, no, he is slightly. He's much in the same place. But I was going to say he does seem ever so slightly more financially stable than he was at the beginning. He does get more work. Now that the world is ending once a year, he's getting that much more regular work out of SI that just he's not, he doesn't have a big savings account, but at least he's making ends meet now, he can pay his rent as opposed to being like 3 months behind all the time.
And I think, like, the word is going around, too, from other low level. Is like, well, he was able to find my keys. Or, like, he was able to provide protection at his birthday party.
Box of coins at the bottom of the...
Yeah. Sometimes he does too much. You didn't need to do that one so well, Harry. That was dumb.
Sorry, there was nothing down there. No, my pockets were this big when I went. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm just like, I mean, okay, we discussed he didn't have to do the actual diving, I guess. He could have just told them where to dive, but still, that was a weird situation.
I just think it's so funny that you're hung up on that. Like, before I was always just like, perfect throwaway side job. Okay, he went and Jessica's like, no, the coins, okay?
Because in my head, he's like fully wearing the duster, does a perfect dive off the boat, swims to the bottom of Michigan, picks up a box of coins and comes out and is like, here you go. And everyone's like, wow, you're really good at this.
He's got gills.
No, he just does the magical, like,
the gillyweed
fishbowl helmet over his head from... Yeah, right. She's like, no, I'm okay with, like, crazy porn syndicate, ex-wife ritual. I'm okay with, like, werewolves, but playing some guy's coins. The law. Why did he have coins on him? Why did he hold them so near the edge in the first place?
It's kind of like an artist thing where, like, I charge, like, let's say, like, it costs me $100 an hour for me to do something, okay? And some things are just not worth people to pay $100 an hour. So it's like, you're just not going to get it from them, right?
You know what, Jessica? It doesn't matter how high the Walmart fence is, okay? I don't know why you're so hung up on this.
I couldn't believe that we drug other people into it, too.
So for any coin collectors out there, okay?
Thanks again for measuring that fence, by the way.
Let's move on to something actually important for this chapter, okay? Thomas is getting snippy, and Harry's like, what the fuck, bro? And Thomas is like, because I'm hungry, and essentially, you know, we're talking about vampiros.
No problem, let's grab a Big Mac. Fuck you, Harry, you idiot.
You can't get a Big Mac at 8 a.m., you fucking moron.
Right, which is fuck. I still maintain that is dumb. If you're going to do all-day breakfast, you should damn well do all-day, because...
No one wants all-day breakfast from McDonald's. Yeah. I would want a Big Mac or fries early in the day. I would not ever fucking want pancakes from McDonald's, no matter what time of day it is.
Right.
I don't ever want an Egg McMuffin. I don't ever want a hash brown.
Right? I don't need an Egg McMuffin at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but I damn sure have tried to order a Big Mac at 4 a.m. and been denied.
I remember, like, you'd get out of exams at school, it'd be 11 a.m., and you'd be trying to go buy fries, and they'd be like, whoa, fries don't come for another hour. And I'd be like, go fuck yourself, McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I am 100%. Having done, like, paper routes and worked other, like, night jobs at the same thing, like construction, I'm like, I'm sorry, my lunch break is at 3 a.m. I want to go get a Big Mac. I don't want fucking...
Yeah, it's pretty biased for 9 to 5.
Well, maybe if we do it all day, we'll finally get through some of these egg patties in our freezer. The one guy that's ordering them can come 3 times a day rather than once a day.
For 24 hours, we will finally sell a dozen in a day.
Maybe that's
it. Yeah, I don't know.
Either way, Thomas has been snacking.
Yeah.
And it's not good enough, and Thomas is feeling Harry does this whole, you know, like, imagine I felt that every day for a year, and I could never quench my thirst, and it would on, and eventually you're going to start losing sleep, and you won't be able to concentrate, and you start going crazy about it, because all you can think about is how hungry you are, and how you cannot eat no matter what. And yeah, that weighs on a person. That would suck. Makes you feel for Thomas a little bit more. Yeah, holding down a job, not so easy when you're just starving constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
Always seeing food walking around you constantly.
Yeah, that water bottle example is really nice.
I loved the first time I read that, because they did a really nice little, like, again, it seems just such a typical kind of, I'm going to put this off kind of a thing, right? You know, blah, 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 we're walking, and then be like, I don't want to tell you, you can't, well, of course I can't understand if you don't tell. Okay, fine, race you back, right? And literally, Harry's like, what kind of kindergarten crap is this? Right? And it just seems very typical to be like, right, like, oh, Thomas doesn't want to talk, but of course Thomas can beat his ass. Because obviously, right?
Of all the ridiculous, immature nonsense, I said. Then I hooked a foot behind Thomas's calf, shoved him down in the sand, and then took off down the beach at a dead sprint.
Which is also fantastic. Because it's also very brotherly and just very Harry-ish and just the whole thing, right? Just everything about that was so much fun.
Cheaters never prosper, watch this.
Right? It's like, you gotta really want it. Right? So yeah, it's this fantastic, it's this cute little, and you get back and exactly.
You get whammied.
And you get whammied. And we've all been, right? I'm like, I have been to the point where I'm thirsty enough that I actually want to guzzle a bottle of water. And that's not the norm for me, because water's gross. So I don't drink nearly enough of it as I should on a regular basis as I watch Tanzan with her bottle of water. Ugh. But
she assumes it's just water.
Right, I forgot we're Tanzans. I do know better. Cheers. Right, like, yes, there is nothing better when you are super, when you...
Carbonated vodka sounds disgusting.
Carbonated...
It's cranberry juice in there.
So it's like, yeah, everybody at some point has been like that, absolutely just dying, waiting to get a drink. And yeah, it's like not even worse than just not getting there yet, of getting that sip and thinking, all right, here it is. And that, right, it's like having cigarettes and no lighter. If you don't have cigarettes, you're like, okay, I have to wait until I can get some more. But if you have cigarettes, but no way to light them...
You have one last cigarette and you light the filter side by accident. Because you ain't smoking that now. It's gross.
Yeah. Although even still, some people would argue they would do that. But
desperate enough.
Yeah. Regardless. Anyways, I just thought this was a really good... Because you kind of think he's totally pushing him off and not going to just try to whatever, right? And then, yeah, he does... Again, you're like, oh, retaliation for tripping him in the sand and all this kind of stuff, right? And you're just like, what the fuck? And he's like, that's... And you go, ooh... Oh, yeah, I feel that.
It's very poignant.
Yeah, good
cause and effect, Thomas.
Comparison, but sure. Yes. So, yeah, so he's like, that's what it's like. All of
it just seems a little bit ironic to have gone through all the events of the last book and, you're purposely aiming to do this to your father. You want this to happen to him. It's already been happening to him, and you want it to continue to him, and you're doing everything in your power to make sure that he continues to stay starving, to find yourself in the same position a year later and be like, wow, this fucking sucks. And you've been here 30 years?
Yeah. And again,
35, 36,
And again, and very...
That alone is enough to drive you insane.
Well, yeah, and he clearly is crazy.
Well, and this is the thing, it's hard to say because obviously he had some great stored up willpower of it, right? So part of it is, how long did it take him to, again, is it, even though he had all of that stored up, is it still the same as once you're not literally stockpiling or something like that? It doesn't matter how much I have in the cupboard if I don't have something
more coming in
right
yeah,
now,
we don't
right, was he fine to subsist off of that until, right? Because, yeah, that's obviously the thing is Thomas obviously didn't have this, and while in theory it should have been, because he took such a large bite out of Justine, but because he was basically on death's door at the same time, right? Again, it all went into topping him up and not actually putting him ahead of the game at all.
It might be one of those things where you have food at home, it's just not satisfying. You want to go out and get McDonald's. You don't want to fucking rely on the cans of beans that have been in your pantry for the last 6 years. We don't know exactly if there is any getting ahead or if once it's topped off and that's it. And the difference between, well, I can top it off 10 times a day versus, well, I can never top it off again. Mm-hmm. Weighs on you differently, either or. Mm-hmm. But yeah, to that point, maybe literally Thomas and his dad are just in the exact same boat. For only 1 year now, they've both been depleting.
Yeah.
Mr. Wraith, Papa Wraith, never had to know what it was like to be below, let's say 90%, because he's been very tiny.
His gaslight is just finally come on.
And that night at the Deeps, he went all for it, thinking it wouldn't be a problem. And now he's, coasting with the last 5 or 10% at the very bottom.
Yeah.
And Thomas is maybe using, 5% every month for the last year. Who knows exactly, right?
Well, but yeah, we do know exactly it is basically regular people food fuel. The more you use it, the more you need kind of a thing, right? So yeah, if you're just all chill and not using any of your swanky vampire powers, great, it'll last you longer, but
But not even to that, because Thomas doesn't need to be using his vampire swanky powers. As far as we know, he hasn't been in any big dire straits.
Yeah.
But he's still feeling the effects. He's still starving anyways. He wants to go and eat regardless of that. Sure, fine, he's not going to pull out his vampire bullshit to race Harry because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he's not still starving constantly anyway.
Well,
he wants to top it up. And
yeah, he sort of hasn't had any, big things to... He's been subsisting on that just
or
enough.
Or has he?
Well, you'd think he wouldn't be quite so grumpy about it then, but...
No, not eating, but big projects on the side.
Oh. That require his...
As far as Harry's aware, he doesn't do shit.
But yeah, he's basically on this horrible diet. But yeah, I just meant, there is a slight difference between, being miserable and subsisting off your diet when you're just not really doing anything as opposed to, yes, trying to train for the Olympics while you're on a 1 lettuce leaf a day diet kind of a thing. So yes, he's still miserable and he's still hungry and it's still not satisfying where he would like to be. But at the same time yes, he hasn't sort of at least had an excess to, or hasn't needed to draw excessively on, but...
And would you look at that? I get a shout out. Where are we going? 7-Eleven. Drinks are on you.
I was going to say that. I was like, the world will end the day that store goes under, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Although, I don't know, according to Demolition Man, it's going to be Taco Bell. But
Okay.
fine dining, it's all that survived.
Not so much. See the state of the Taco Bells in Calgary, at least.
Yeah,
I think that's why. Like, they're going to be here when, like, we all turn into Fallout 4 land because they already look like they belong there.
They're like, we're just prepping. Haha.
Yeah.
I think most of the ones I know of are already gone. They used to
I don't
be
think
that
we have-
KFC Taco Bell combination, and now they're just KFCs again.
Well, Taco Bells are gone, but Taco Time, like, they keep their lights off until a customer shows up. Like the one that we always go to, like, their lights are off. We're like, are they closed? And we open the door, and the door's open, and the cashier just pops out of nowhere and turns the lights back on. We're like, what the fuck? So I think they want people to think they're closed so they get left alone, but, like, we want tacos.
That's hilarious.
It happens all the time. I pull up so often. I'm like, why are all the lights off? And we go try the door, and it opens, and the cashier's like, hi. And I'm like, okay, bro.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do like Taco Time better, actually, now.
Taco Time is awesome.
So it's like that. It's exactly like that.
He was very effective.
And
like, he really
it-
understood.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Harry's like, I'm starting to get... Because you're right. He would have tried. He did want to know. But, you know, when it gets right down to it, what words could Thomas have? You know, like, Harry would have been like, oh, man, right? But it's that very different between...
Knowing and experiencing.
I guess, yeah, something like that or whatever, right? Tangible, intangible kind of a thing. So all of a sudden, like you say, right, he just thinks about the terrible, vicious circle that would be about, you know, and then you're always tired, then you can't sleep, and then you can't sleep, so then you can't eat, and then you can't eat, and yeah. He's like, well, so it's like, on the one hand, I'm like, he did this great. He did run some shit out. He did get his thoughts in order. He was able to talk to Thomas a bit about the situation. And then now he's just got this whole bunch of shit piled back on top of him. He's like, so I still need to figure... I didn't really figure out really entirely. I sort of know what the next step is. But yeah, but he's like, crap, now I got all this, like, stuff about my brother to, like, think about and mull around while I gotta go out and save the world again. So it's like, thanks for telling me this. I'm gonna stick you on the back burner for a while while I go into this other
Them
stuff.
complicated relationships.
Yeah, sorry, but, you know, gotta run. Yeah.
So they plan for Thomas to return to the apartment to watch over Butters while Harry wants to visit the places on the ghost map and in addition, a side quest to the Never Never.
If it comes to that. Isn't that kind of dangerous? Yeah.
It's a lit thing. This concludes our episode 13.11, Unquenched. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Wander by it at your own risk.